Well, hey everyone, we are glad that we are with you again for another one of our Zoom business boosts. And today we have Benjamin Szymanski from ConnRex Digital. And super excited about this because this is a topic that many people are intimidated by, not sure where to start. Lots of questions. Before we were recording, we were talking about what are the hangups even that it's easy for businesses to have about this digital marketing, digital advertising world. And so we're excited to have Benjamin today share about this. So Benjamin, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little about you and the
Sure.
company and get going with your presentation. I think we can really learn from.
As Chris so eloquently stated, yes, I'm Benjamin Szymanski. I work with ConnRex Digital, but the overarching company I work for is ConnRex Media. And a lot of people here in the market would recognize that as ESPN 1410, Z93, The Fridge 105, Hot R and ROU. Those are the radio stations that we work here in the market. But we're also a full service digital firm. I've been in digital marketing about 10 years now. And it has been an interesting and challenging experience. I really enjoy it because it's always changing, it's always evolving. There's always new tactics and different ways to target people in the advertising space. And I won't mince words. Our broadcast radio is incredibly strong in this market. Z93 is a tent pole 30 years running in Dayton, Ohio. If you ask the average Daytonian if they know Z93, bam, they know it. But more and more, we're seeing with the younger generation, people migrating over into the digital space as their primary way of making a business decision. And I always say, if they're searching, then they're shopping. And that is there is a such an element of truth to that. I think it's important for our local businesses to, if they're going to stave off the big box, retailers, if they're going to stave off those bigger companies, that our local businesses not just embrace the legacy ways to advertise, but also embrace the digital space as well. Because um, as far as making a selection goes, I thought about this a couple of months ago, and it really kind of set a light bulb off in myself. The pandemic was in 2020. It was almost 7 years ago. Every senior in high school that was a senior in 2020 is now pushing 23, 24, 25. Everybody who was a senior in college is now pushing 30. These are people that are excuse me, starting families, buying homes, having children. These are people who are growing their families and finding their way kind of to building a life for themselves. Well, all those kids know is purchasing something or interacting on the internet. When we got sent home, and we'll say sent home for 2 years, I would say March 17th of 2020 is really kind of when Dayton, kind of went home and started going remote. It was towards the end of 2022 where people were kind of getting back out. The restrictions were lifted. People were going like back to the movies or out shopping. It was a lot more restrictive. Well, it only takes 14 days to create a habit. We were shopping on the internet for 2 years. So that entire generation of kids grew up and became adults knowing nothing but ordering their groceries online, doing a local search online, having their medicine delivered online. Heck, unless they had an emergency, most of them were going to the doctor online with a telehealth appointment. Explain the symptoms. Okay, well, I'm going to have your medicine delivered here. That is a form and function and way that that entire generation had learned how to function online. So it's super important for our local businesses if they're to stay relevant in the same space as Walmart or Target or Best Buy or to make sure that they plant their flag digitally and make sure that they are focused really primarily in the advertising within the digital space. And the purpose of today was to talk a little bit just about how that works, how the mechanics of a local search works. And truth be told, I'm going to add some extra flavor in here. I really want to update this because we need to consider AI as a piece of digital marketing now. Chat GPT has ads now. And when you do a Google search, if a business is paying to be at the top of the page, they're still there. However, if you ask Google, like, what's the best local pizza place? The first answer you get now is something from Gemini. hey, the best local pizza place, based on my research, is Marion's, Gianono's. They would pick something local, but whatever's going on, it's based off of a traditional SEO search as of right now. So the more component pieces you have going on in the digital space, the better the odds are of being made a recommendation online through AI. The chances of that improves quite a bit. I know I just went for a minute there. Chris, real quick, what do we have on time? Is it an hour?
Yeah, we just need to be done by 10:30 here.
All right, you got it. I'll get to trucking then. Okay. So we talked about who we are. We talked about building strategies. We're talking about growth and awareness, but I don't want to get into anything salesy. What I want to do today is talk about education. What are the biggest pain points? What are the biggest digital disconnects for a local company in the digital space? And I see these all the time. Some people have it going on better than others, but these are the biggest pain points that you can do yourself in a lot of ways as a business owner to make sure you are relevant in the online space. So the biggest pain point number one is lack of a website. If a business does not have a website, and the most important piece of that is the website's mobile compatible, those two go together hand in hand, the odds of being made a recommendation are very, very, very slim. And that's not any sort of diss to anybody, but having that website, when someone does a Google search, when someone does a search on Chat GPT, the very first thing that the AI machine tries to index is, do they have a website and is it mobile compatible? So if you don't have one, that's definitely where you need to start. It doesn't matter if you're Coca-Cola or if you're a lemonade stand down the block. If you want search traffic, it's got to start with a website, and the website's got to be mobile compatible. Lack of directory optimization. Now, this one kind of is super important, but it kind of goes by the wayside with people. And what directory optimization is a website that's indexed by a directory. If the information is mismatched from your website or your Google business profile or other website portals, think about anywhere an information is indexed. So it starts with your website, but it also is your Facebook page. Believe it or not, it's MapQuest. Yelp, anywhere that information is indexed where you could be reviewed or an option, if it doesn't have congruent matching information, then Google says, I don't trust this website. I'm not going to recommend it. The best way to envision directory optimization is you give a printer your business card with the right information on it. They sell you a box of 100 business cards, 80% of them have the wrong information on it. That's not great at all. But a lot of it goes by the wayside. I'll use a quick anecdote. When I first started with here at ConnRex, I had an appointment with a local daycare. Well, 3 months before that, they had moved from a downtown location to basically two houses. I pulled up to a boarded up building because they didn't change their address on their Google business profile. How many customers, potential clients, did they lose by not updating their Google business profile? Probably quite a few. That's super important to do. It's a big piece of SEO. A poorly graded website on speed, images, and size. This is a trap that a lot of people fall into with a website because there's a lot of really cool companies out there. I'm not going to overtly diss them because it's a neat idea. But when you think about websites like GoDaddy or Wix or Weebly, they'll say, okay, we'll give you a free or cheap website. Well, most of our local businesses they're great plumbers. They're great real estate agents. They're great attorneys. They're great at what it is that they do, but they're not webmasters. But they try to, kind of save a buck or two by doing the website themselves. If that website's not optimized, it's not going to be a good experience for the end user, and you're also going to get dock points on the algorithm. Now, am I on the right track here, Chris? Because I will keep going down this list. Is this good information?
Yeah, this is awesome because I think this is stuff we just don't think about, right? I mean, we're getting ready to move our own location and I'm putting a calendar event in my schedule right now to make sure that at the end of August that I'm going to update that on Google because we want people to find us, right? And so
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and just thinking, like you said, I even was telling Wendy, I just read yesterday or day before about how people that content marketing wise, like you said, the AI summaries have changed the game because when people are doing even on their websites, what used to help them rank high, now AI is scraping the internet and compiling information. So there's new challenges, I guess, is what is my point to even putting your own content out there, as good as it may be. So. Yeah, I think you're hitting all the buttons that I think are really an issue right now.
Yeah, and I think, that's just the general purpose of today is like I'm not trying to be Joe Sales guy. I just want local businesses to understand because, we were talking off of camera here, off the recording. A lot of businesses are, kind of struggling right now, or some of them have even shuttered, but a lot of them have not really embraced the digital space for
Mhm.
one reason or another. But this is nothing to be scared of. This is stuff that's going to help you on a local level be found. And it's I don't want to say it's concerning, but it kind of is concerning in the regard of, okay, so the chain of events here, like, and I'll use McDonald's for example. McDonald's was always word of mouth and it was always great branding. When you saw the golden arches on the side of the road, you knew I'm going to get something that tastes good and it's cheap. I'm going to slide in there. Okay, so you have that there. Then McDonald's had a website, and it was basically just a directory website of where you could find locations, local promotions, things of that nature, which is where a lot of our local businesses should be with a website. Now we've moved on to applications, apps on your phone.
Mhm.
So a lot of people like if you rolled into McDonald's, you look at the value meal, and you and I, everybody in here is of the age where we remember probably the 90s, early 2000s. A value meal was like $6. I got a
Mhm.
quarter pounder, I got a medium fry, I got a drink, it's $6. You roll up in there now, and it's $17. But here's what the smart thing that they did business wise. They created that application and you can gather up reward points and you can gather up discounts. And if you visit McDonald's enough, as they prompt you to do, with a push notification on your phone, with coupons, with reward points, with discounts, if you're a McDonald's loyalist, it's cheaper now than it was before the pandemic. Yeah, you've got to rack it up and go, but at the same time, most of these big billion-dollar companies have moved on to apps. Walmart has Walmart Plus now, and that thing's coming up real quick on Amazon because it's an identical business model to Amazon. Not only do you have your local staples through the app where you can actually get them delivered to your home, as well as groceries, it's got resellers, it's got odds and ends, it's got an eBay type element to it. There's a lot of different factors that go into that application and into that membership. Our users will probably know everything is a subscription service now, whether that's Netflix or, I take a supplement called Ceylon Cinnamon, and I'm subscribed to it, and they give me a discount based on that subscription. Now, I'm not advocating for our local businesses to get into the app development game. That can be very, very expensive. But when it comes to a local search, and I'll pick on Wendy for a minute. Wendy, when you do a Google search, how often is near me a component piece of that search?
Say again, Benjamin.
How often is the phrase near me a part of
Oh,
that search? Plumber near me, gardener near me, whatever that might look like. It's probably pretty
oh,
often, right?
oh, yeah, pretty often because I don't want to go far, right? So I want to find something that's close by.
Exactly, exactly. So that's a huge piece of what that is for our clientele because hyperlocal SEO is super, super, super important to businesses because of that near me element. And also, let's not mince words. I think most of our businesses would be more successful with this type of interaction because Dayton likes to support Dayton. They don't necessarily want, I've been in the market long enough to know, originally I'm from Detroit. It's very similar in psychology. I don't want a big box retailer. I want Bob the plumber down the street to work on this because he's in my community. If they don't know that your business is in the community, they can't support you. And if you don't show up in a Google's local search, then you have zero chance of being supported at all. And that brings me kind of to my next point with review generation and review responses. Everybody would say word of mouth. Word of mouth is the greatest way to communicate. And I agree with that. But the word of mouth now is not the water cooler anymore. It's Facebook, it's social media. I'm going to recommend this if I'm leaving a review or a comment there. So our local businesses asking people for reviews, either that be that on social media or their Google business page, is essential. My mother is 71 years old. She will not eat at a restaurant with less than 3 stars. She goes and visits all those pages, reads all the reviews. If it's a new place that she heard of, she's Googling it and taking a look at it, and then she's making her decision that way. Now, on the flip side of that, review generation is important, and it's really easy to incentivize people for review generation by tacking on a discount. If you take out your phone right now and leave me a 5-star review, I'll give you $5 off your coffee bill, or I'll give you 10% off of your next purchase. That's how much and how important those reviews are, but responding to those reviews are super important. If I walked up if Wendy walked up to me and said, I really like that shirt you're wearing today, Ben. Where did you get it? And I turned around and walked away without responding to her, when would be the next time Wendy would compliment my shirt? Never.
Right.
So our local businesses making sure they monitor that review page and respond to those reviews is essential. Now, if it's a positive review, obviously you thank them for their business and you encourage them to come back in. If it's a negative review, you can respond to that any way you'd like to, but I advise this technique. Acknowledge their pain and ask the conversation to take place offline. Hey, Chris, I'm sorry that you had a real bad experience with us. We value your business. I want to make sure I understand in intimate detail what the problem is. Call me at this number or email me at this address, and you take that discussion off the internet. I had a client years ago, small restaurateur in Massachusetts. This guy got into a 120 comment flame war back and forth with a client who didn't like his meal, and it resulted in a fist fight in the restaurant parking lot between the owner and the client.
Wow.
Chris, what are the odds of you going to a restaurant where you see the owner challenge a
Right.
customer to a fist fight after cussing them out back and forth? It's a very low proposition. So acknowledge their pain and take the conversation offline. Because believe it or not, folks, a lot of these comments that are negative, a lot of them come from burner accounts and fake people who want to damage that person's business, be that a competitor, scorned lover, whatever that looks like. I've seen it all. I've seen so many like accounts where this account was created 2 hours ago and they'll write a 10-page paragraph about how much they hate a business. That's not a real review, but you can't necessarily take that down immediately. You got to challenge it. There's a whole process. It's got to
Yeah.
sit there. So just
Well,
go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just going to say, on top of that, there have been times where I've looked at reviews and I've seen a negative review and how the business responds to it in a positive, professional manner, and that gives me more confidence and respect for them for how they're actually engaging with their customers. So I think, instead of the fist fight in the parking lot thing, right, it's an opportunity for actually potentially winning new and better business because you show up in a way that matters digitally because like you said, before people were ever going to pick up the phone and call you or walk into your store, they're looking online anyway. And if that first impression is, hey, these people fix problems, they address things, they deal with things well, I have more confidence to go work with them now.
You're absolutely correct. It's all about your local reputation management. Do I have a space where when people get hurt and it doesn't really matter, if it's digital or real life, whatever. What do people look for? You know, uh, they look for to just to be heard. They want to be
Right.
heard out, and a local business saying, "Hey, look, I hear you, I see you, let me try to fix it." That goes a country mile versus some sort of buck back. I
Yeah.
see even a lot of businesses with the fake reviews be like, they'll just fire back right away. I have no record of you as a client at all whatsoever. Okay, that might be very true. That
Yeah.
might be true. But just that aggressive pushback can turn a lot of people off.
Mhm.
They want to deal with somebody who they think is, if there's a problem, they're going to be heard and it's going to be acknowledged and it's going to be fixed.
Mhm.
So that is super important and super essential to any local business. Now, lack of customized content. This is a big one with our local businesses because we have a lot of people where I talk to them and they have a little bit of stage fright. And probably the biggest venue or avenue a local business can advertise with, that's not really embraced is what I like to call the influencer type package. Influencers are huge on the internet, whether that's something like Ryan's World, where he's just unboxing toys and talking about how cool they are. That kid I mean, those parents went from working in a factory to now they're worth 30 or 40 million dollars. And that kid has toys like the old Oprah's book club. This is a Ryan's World certified approved toy.
Wow.
Influencers are huge, and our local businesses, the more they put themselves front and center and I can connect with them, the more value there is to it. So even when you guys are doing your stuff, like Wendy is, and I'm not saying this to be fresh, but this is just how it is. Wendy is a great speaker. She's attractive, she's intelligent. Putting Wendy front and center with creating a piece of customized content for the Beaver Creek Chamber of Commerce would be much more effective than like a stock photo or a stock video or a link to a video. I can go into the Beaver Creek Chamber of Commerce and here's Wendy. She's nice and she's smiling and she's easy to talk to and she's smart. I know I can connect with her right away. And it doesn't matter who it is. There's If your business owners are front and center, especially in Dayton, the bigger the odds of them connecting with the client are a lot higher.
Mhm.
So that's something with customized content that's super important. The other piece of the customized content is stock photography versus the real picture, right? A lot of businesses, especially when they do GoDaddy, Wix, Weebly, or they create an image, even through AI, and post that docks you points. If it's a real picture that you took with your camera phone or a digital camera, Google sees that and acknowledges and says that's unique to them. That's real. That's a trusted source. I can engage with that. Lack of social media. Man, I see this a lot. It's either one way or it's another way. I don't have a website and I'm all on Facebook, or I'm all on Facebook and I don't have a website. Those two things work hand in hand. Wendy, I'll pick on you again. I'm sorry to do that because Chris and I already talked about it. When you're surfing and making a decision and you get to a website of a local business, how much does that social media weigh with you when you're making a buying decision?
It weighs a lot. I mean, I go and look at it, of course, because if I, my second search option is usually on Facebook, or if I get something on Google, then I'll go over and look at Facebook or Instagram and kind of see what they have to say. And it's really frustrating too when you go on Facebook and do a quick search and like you're looking for something simple like hours, and like there is nothing there. Or the last post you see was from like 9 months ago.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to that place. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see
yes.
current, up to date information, even if
I'm
it's
with
something silly. At least that tells me they're there and they're active.
You're exactly right. And the other double-edged sword there is businesses don't want, or the end user on social media doesn't want to be buy this, set an appointment, set an appointment. The correct cadence for this is five fun posts with one call to action. So, like Chris, you and Wendy, I'm not trying to coach you guys up right now, but even
Mhm.
as you're developing, your social media for the Beaver Creek Chamber of Commerce, here's me and Wendy at Panera across the street, or here's us running to Kroger because we're out of water, or oh, Chris accidentally knocked a potted plant over. Stand in front of the plant. Oh, stuff like that. People think it's cute, it's funny, it's relatable, it makes you a human being. All that stuff is super attractive. Wendy, you were going to say something.
It is so true because we have put up like stupid, no not nonsense, but
Yeah,
fun posts that we have gotten like thousands of views on and likes on. And it's just like, and we sit there and go, that's so crazy. Like the post that I think that, should get all the views, it's like meaningful and informational. No, those are not the ones. The ones that just show that you're a real person, everyday life, stupid, silly things happen. If you post about that or put those pictures up or even a short 30-second video, if you're doing something crazy, those are what people want to see. And I think the reason is because they're tired of being sold to, like you said. Like
yeah.
they want their brain to be taken away to just something uplifting and funny and be like, oh my gosh, they're human. That happened to me 2 days ago, and you just kind of chuckle about it, but then you remember those people or that business because they're relatable.
You're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. Scott Sharp on the Z93 Facebook page, it's a couple months ago, so you got to go looking for it. There's a video of him. It's like 7 seconds long. It's him taking the Z93 sign to the Dayton Mall and dropping it. 17,000 views. 17,000 views of Scott dropping the Z93 sign. Stuff like that. To Wendy's point, she hits the nail right on the head. You guys are human beings. You're here in Dayton, Ohio. We want to connect with you, or at least makes you an option.
Well, and even and Benjamin, one thing that we've talked about over the years is just, look at all the big brands, right, that have a persona attached to them. They may be the McDonald's of the world or the Apple or whatever, right? But then they have the personas that connect to people because they're trying to personalize this big monstrosity. Whereas the
Yeah,
local business, when you are the business, in many cases for many owners, it's really an X factor and an advantage that I don't think a lot of small business owners and leaders think about.
I think you're right about that. And I hate to say it like this and be too succinct because a lot of it's stage fright, but like you got to get over that, like as a small business owner, because, you know, yeah, it's intimidating the fact that you're putting content out there with your name and your face on it because you now have 6 billion people on planet Earth that can see you.
Hmm.
But at the same time, people, and again, I say this to be succinct, but it's so true because it all bundles up with this. The younger generation, I'm talking 16 to 35, all they know is making an emotional decision.
Hmm.
I want to make an emotional decision. I've got to make an emotional buying decision. If they feel good about you, they're going to engage with you. If they don't feel good about you, then you are an afterthought.
Hmm.
So that's incredibly important to not just have the social medias and the customized content together, regularly post multiple times a week and have some fun with it. I've got another slide here too. We're not going to be able to get to it today because I think this is what we should be focusing on, our pain points.
Hmm.
But just ideas for social media. To Wendy's point, hey, did you guys see the new Supergirl movie? That's all you
Hmm.
need. What'd you think about it? Or whatever hot movie's out right there, hot TV show. What'd you guys think of the Game of Thrones finale? Whatever that looks like, it's engaging and it makes you a real person.
Hmm.
So paid ads on social media, and this is where I get in kind of like um a disconnect. Everybody looks at Facebook and Instagram and says, well, yeah, I pay for ads on there. I boosted like 5 or 6 posts. Boosts are great for certain businesses. And I'll say that very specifically. If you are a restaurant, if you are a smoothie place, if you are a place where I don't care who my customer is, I just want people in, I just want the engagement. Boosting is perfect for that because it doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or you're 99 years old. I want you to come by Benjamin Smoothies. I don't care. So boosting can be somewhat effective for branding and awareness, but targeted paid ads on social media, whether they be through the geofencing smart social or contextual keywords and audience segmentation. And we'll get into that, I think, in another chapter of this. Um, or you can always call me and we'll talk about it. But getting into the paid targeted ads are much better bang for your buck than just generic awareness. Like
Mhm.
if I'm a plumber and I specialize in septic tank work, for example, I want to be found for people not only that need septic tank works, but just have septic tanks in general.
Mhm.
You can't filter that targeting out through a boost. So if you drop like let's say $100 a month on a boosted post, you the majority of people that see that might not have a septic tank, and therefore you're wasting impressions. I know it's a little bit dramatic, but I always say it's like you got a blast furnace, you got a coal shovel, and you're just shoveling cash right into the coal furnace. Not because you're, necessarily doing a bad thing, but if you have a migraine, is one Tylenol going to help? Probably not. You need a more effective course of treatment there. And that's paid targeted ads on social media. The other piece of this is no paid ads at all. And all these different things, again, work together to the benefit of your digital marketing. If you have a robust and strong website, a robust and engaging social media, and you're paying ads to point people back to that social media or website, the odds of you being a recommendation on Google are a lot higher because Google will say, that's a legitimate business. That business is legit. I can make a recommendation of them through AI. Plus, you're getting the right customers, right? You're getting the right people in there. Poor content on social media or lack of social media posts or engagement. We'll bundle all those three up together because it's all true. Again, it's anecdotal, but I had another guy in South Carolina who was a plumber. Great guy, loved working with him. I basically call these guys one or two chucks in a truck. He was a master plumber. He was his own businessman. I was coaching him through social media, and God bless him, all he posted were pictures of his Dalmatian. Beautiful dog. It was really cool. Some of the pictures were cool. Like his cover photo for Facebook was the dog sitting in front of his truck, which was a nice truck, and it was all customized. But what does that tell me about what you do? What does that tell me about your business? When we're talking about our local businesses here, we want to establish them as, and please, if you're listening to this, burn this into your brain. As a business person, I am a subject matter expert. I am the expert at what I do. I am the professor at what I do, and I have to convey that through social media. Sometimes that means giving away information that you might think is a bad idea, but it's actually a good idea because it builds trust. I'll give another example here. I had another plumber. He was in Tipton, Iowa. I know that sounds like a very remote place because it is. They were put in one town over. And this stays on the subject of septic tanks. One town over, they were building this gigantic factory. It was going to be like 12, 1,300 jobs. They're building the developments. Well, this guy, housing projects, not projects, but like subdivisions, basically. Because Ohio was so rural, it all had to be septic tanks. Well, this guy had a Caterpillar and he wanted to install septic tanks because that's a $25,000, $30,000 job. Whereas he was at that point, because he was so rural, driving up to 75 miles to unclog a toilet for $50.
Mhm.
So he's literally spending money to go unclog a toilet. Our strategy was, hey, do a social media post where you walk through somebody step by step, troubleshooting solutions to unclog your toilet. Well, isn't that giving my business away? Possibly, but it's business you don't want. You want the septic tank. You want the big project. You don't want to drive 50 miles to unclog a toilet. But if you establish yourself as a subject matter expert, willing to coach people on a job that you don't necessarily want to do, you are not only establishing that you're an expert, you're building trust with a local resource. You're saying to them, hey, I'm the expert. This is how it's done. Chris, you were going to say something.
Yeah, so I was going to share this. So last week, there's a guy that I get enamored by, like guys, videoing their mowing projects, mowing lawns and things, right? Um, and one of these guys, he was doing a video. He was doing a series of social media videos. He was doing Rick Ross, the record producer down in Atlanta area,
Yeah.
Georgia area. He was he was doing his whole estate, which was like, I don't know, 100 acres, or it was massive. Like this place was beautiful, massive. And he was getting ready. He was having like a car show on his property that weekend. And this guy was showing it. Well, and it was cool to watch it, but I didn't know the backstory. And he actually did a social media post on how he got that job. I think he's actually in Kentucky or Tennessee somewhere, but because he does all these his digital marketing and showing the jobs he does, Rick Ross DM'd him and said, I want you to come do my property down here. He spent a week in Georgia with his crews doing their property, and it's not the first time that he did it. And then once it was done and they were setting up for the car show and everything, Rick was like talking him up, like they were talking together on video, and he's like, "Dude, you got to call this guy. He's amazing." And it all started because he was just sharing all of his jobs and how he did his work and highlighted it on social media, um, as a a lawnmower primarily, and I don't even know if he does extra landscaping, but he mows lawns, and he just shares what he's doing, and this multimillionaire sees it, DMs him on social media, doesn't even call his office number, right, his business number, DMs him, and they start a relationship, and now he's got this massive contract with this very wealthy man. So I think it just points to what you're saying is he's highlighting showing off his work. Like in essence, you could watch him and go, "Hey, I could do that in my yard. I could do that for myself for free." In essence, for free lawn mowing advice. But yet at the same time, he gets this multi-million-dollar contract most likely because of putting that out there.
You hit the nail on the head, Chris. And how valuable is a free word of mouth commercial from Rick Ross?
Oh, huge. I mean,
Like,
he's probably getting slammed with business right now, is my guess.
yeah, I mean, okay, this guy does the soundtrack to Django Unchained, what a ridiculously popular movie, and now he's talking about your local business and how good you are.
Hmm.
That is incredible. It weighs so much. And everybody, I think, out there too, to your point, kind of thinks that the internet just happens. It doesn't just happen.
Hmm.
You can cultivate your online presence as a subject matter expert however you want them to be. I'll use another anecdote. In Middletown, Ohio, I had an attorney that I worked with. And if you went to this guy's website, he's actually quit his private practice and joined a bigger firm. But if you went to his old website, you would think this guy worked at the penthouse of the Empire State Building in Manhattan. He really worked out of like a broom closet behind a Chinese restaurant off Brielle Boulevard. But who cares?
Hmm.
He's meeting clients at restaurants. He's meeting clients at coffee shops. He's creating an intimate connection with them superficially. When you look at him online, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with Jordan Belfort or the Wolf of Wall Street or whatever. Nobody knew any better that the guy was not any of that in real life. They made their buying decision based upon how they felt about what they saw and the testimonials of success. And that's another big piece of customized content. Video, 3 years ago, video was it's nice. Video and audio right now is an essential to have, complete
Hmm.
essential. Getting those customer testimonials, getting someone on video real quick. You put your arm around your client. Hey, Jim Bob, how'd you feel about that the lawn mowing I did today? Oh, it's great, blah, blah, like you said with Rick Ross. That kind of
Hmm.
stuff weighs a lot, the customer testimonial, and it's also a great social media post. And
Yeah.
social media engagement. Wendy, you hit the nail on the head. I can't tell you how many times I go on Facebook and guess what people's last post was on their Facebook? March 16th of 2020. That means they suspended their business during COVID and are back at it, but completely left their Facebook in the broom closet, cobwebbed. They're not engaging with it. And to Wendy's point earlier, exactly what she said. I'm not going there. You haven't posted online in 6 years?
Hmm.
No thanks. I'll move on to a more reputable company. So, and that, getting the reviews on social is important as well because of the good word of mouth. And then the last thing I'd want to talk about as far as the pain points go is disconnected online portals. And that kind of goes back to directory optimization. But the biggest ones as a business that you can focus on is making sure your name, your address, your phone number, your email address, all of that that's on your website mirrors everything you're doing on social media. That's Facebook, that's Instagram. What's kind of haunting me, not haunting me right now, but it's nebulous. I'm confused about either way it goes, is TikTok. TikTok for a business is a good idea as far as a content machine goes. Buying ads on TikTok, kind of nebulous right now because of I don't want to say it's upheaval, but TikTok's kind of in a weird spot. It's owned by ByteDance, it's a Chinese company. Obviously, there's been some controversy in the past couple of years. Are they getting our information? Blah, blah, blah. There's been talks of them ByteDance being forced to sell TikTok to an American-based company, like basically their algorithm. So if you're out there, folks, and you're questioning TikTok, keep questioning it. Use it as a content device. I wouldn't necessarily invest money into advertising on TikTok just yet, but where you want to focus your money on social media would be in the metasphere, and that would be Facebook primarily, Instagram, and then that kind of bleeds over also into WhatsApp because that's a meta too. It's not the most primary form of communication because your ads will be on Messenger as well, but WhatsApp is definitely popular with the younger people. And if that's where your business is focused and that's the clientele you want to try to acquire, then staying in the meta space is good right now. But make sure all that stuff is connected. Anything you establish, make sure that it is connected, it's accurate, and don't sleep on some of these older directories, older portals. Bing is still big. If I'm sitting at my desk and I'm using Microsoft Edge because my company uses Microsoft, Bing is a very valuable search engine. Yahoo. A lot of people, believe it or not, still have a Yahoo email account and still go to Yahoo. It gets many visits. MapQuest, Yelp, all of these things where you might be located, you want to make sure that information is correct and directs people back to your website. So I know we're running up, we've got only about maybe
Yeah.
10 minutes left or so. I wanted to, kind of wrap it up here. If you guys
Yeah.
have questions or talking points, I want to
Mhm.
make sure our businesses out there can see this, see the pain points, see the things that they can physically control without going to a digital marketing firm necessarily. When we get into the paid space, we definitely can have that conversation. But these are
Well,
all tips and tricks local businesses can use to be relevant in that algorithm. So, did you guys have any questions or any other?
Benjamin, what I think would be helpful too is maybe for, when somebody does come and sit down with you and
Mhm.
your team, how do you work with them to consult and assess what is
Sure.
best for them? Because I think that's one of the things that, a lot of people, some people I've actually spoken to specifically, they feel like they're just getting sold a generic package, a template
Yes.
that isn't necessarily the best for them sometimes. So how do you all determine, what is best for digital radio, all the things that you all do offer at Connoisseur?
Boilerplate, but it's silly. I come at it like a doctor, and I'm not interested in selling people products. Because if I sell you too little just to sell you,
Hmm.
it doesn't work. If I sell you too much and we sit down and we go over your reporting and you're only using 20% of the impressions that you bought,
Hmm.
I'm just hucking stuff against the wall to see what works. My process is pretty simple. What I do is I diagnose what's happening online. Obviously, that starts with the website. I grade that website out. I look for pain points, and then I offer a document for a solution. Because a lot of local businesses will say, well, my nephew Tyler likes to build websites, so and and you never want to call local businesses. You never want to tell them their baby's ugly, but you can provide for them a list of say, okay, so hey, you need to work on mobile compatibility. You need to work on tap targets. And then we talk about the business. Hey, what are your goals? What's your current state of business? What's your desired state of business? Because anybody can spend money, but is it going to be effective? And let's talk about that in just briefly in the pay-per-click SEM space. If there's anything that the general public knows about, it's about SEO, even though that's super complicated. They're aware of it, but they might not know it, or they know Google AdWords, SEM, or pay per click. That is um, plumber near me. And then you got 10 ads where it says sponsored at the top of the page, and you got a bunch of links, right? Those people are paying to be there. Now, in certain verticals, they're competing with $1 billion company. So that might not be the best investment either
Mhm.
because it's a bidding game. If it's Chris's Pizza Place and you're spending 500 bucks on pay per click, and Jet's Pizza moves in next door and they're spending 40 grand a month on pay per click, Chris's Pizza, bye.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a strategy based upon budget, based upon desire, based upon current state and desired state, do analysis and put a package together that is holistic, that drives people to you, that is something that is in your budget and covers the pain points that we disconnect. People will also have monthly results calls with us where they can sit down with it. They will actually be assigned an account manager who will physically call them and do that. Or I'm the digital sales manager here. I'm at 717 East David Road, Kettering, Ohio, 45429. If there's a problem, come on down. We'll go to Socialite Cafe. We'll grab a coffee. We'll talk about it. We'll look at the results together. But as far as like engaging with us initially, it's all about the diagnosis. I'm
Mhm.
looking at your Facebook, I'm looking at your website, I'm using the tools that I have to grade those out. I'm looking at pain points, and I'm presenting a package like a doctor.
Mhm.
If you fall and you break your arm and you need a painkiller, you need surgery and a cast, if I just show up with a painkiller, like some of these bigger digital companies, I'm not doing my job.
Mhm.
You need all three.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk through that and develop a strategy, not just for the immediate, but also to upscale.
Mhm.
We're going to upscale you because let's, get into it for that for a minute. If I just said, okay, get this social media package, get this targeted display package, you're good to go. Okay, well, that might not necessarily, that might be okay, but what are we coming up on here in like 4 weeks? Ohio State season, Bengals, Browns, Steelers, Colts, Lions, Columbus Blue Jackets, Cleveland Cavaliers, Kentucky basketball. What if I could put your local business on those sports stations for a commercial? Now, that might not be something that's immediate, but the very last frontier in appointment viewing is basically live award shows and sports. That's the only time people sit down and say, hey, I'm turning this phone off, the Bengals are on, or I'm turning this phone off, Ohio State's on. You have a captive audience there. So if I'm a local business and winter's coming up and I'm selling windows, I want you to have a television commercial right there on Ohio State Buckeyes football
Yeah.
and get that phone ringing in the Dayton market. Because the way the targeting is done for television now, you and I could be starting the exact same program at the exact same time on the exact same platform. We would get different commercials based upon a bunch of different factors.
Mhm.
Coaching people into that and getting them to kind of see a vision of the future is incredibly essential, but it starts with a diagnostic and then it turns into developing a real plan to drive
Yeah.
business.
No, this is great, Benjamin. I think the pain points are so real, and I'm glad you highlighted those today because I think that people just anybody watching this can probably identify with it, probably multiples, but at least one. And then, like you said, just being able to diagnose, have the consultation with you and your team, I think is huge. So thank you for your time today doing this. We are, like I said, we will put this out into social media ourselves because we want to provide good content for our members as well, and we will put your contact information in that so that people can reach out to you and your team to have that initial meeting where they're like, hey, please review what I'm doing and everything. So, folks, take advantage of this. One of the reasons we're doing these, the biggest reason we're doing these Zoom Business Boost is to provide great members and people that are right here in our region to help you because as Wendy, you'll highlight this. You love to know there's a person, right?
I do. I want to have somebody that I know, like, and trust, and that's here, and that I can reach out to, go see, call, any of those things. So I think it's awesome, and this was great information. And I already have an idea for a silly video today for Chris and I to do to
All
start
right.
engaging and getting that social media going there, Benjamin. So
Shocking.
That's great.
you're
She,
gonna have to you're gonna have to look for it later today.
Are you going to make Chris do a TikTok dance? Are you going to make him do a
no,
dance?
I've tried. He refuses. He
I'm
will not do
stubborn.
anything on TikTok. He's like, no. That's where he draws the line.
I
I
do.
fully understand that.
But
It's
we do have some fun. So we will,
Yes, we
but it's a
do.
great reminder, right? Like some of the stuff that you mentioned, I'm like, duh. I mean, we've talked about this before. We just don't do it consistently. And I think that's a big part of it is, having somebody like yourself and your team to help people keep it top of mind and keep moving people forward, I think is huge. So folks, reach out to Benjamin and his team and yeah, so thanks for doing this again. And we will see you guys next month. And we'll be pushing that our next what information out there soon. So take care, everybody.
All
have a
right.
great day,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody. Thank you.